There are no longer any Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups in Pokrovsk today. This was reported by the 7th Corps of the Airborne Assault Troops, which published a video recording from the city streets. The city has been completely cleared of enemy groups, and individual Russian armed forces attack aircraft. Ukrainian soldiers are currently working in Pokrovsk, and the remaining local residents are moving around the streets. Enemy sabotage and reconnaissance groups came in and tried to operate in the city, but the Ukrainian Defense Forces 25th Brigade subcontractors destroyed them all. There are no enemy sabotage and reconnaissance groups in the city now. Everything is fine. You can move around the city safely now. There are no attacks on cars or pedestrians, a Ukrainian serviceman said in a published video. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a meeting of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief's headquarters, where Pokrovsk became one of the key topics. According to him, the Ukrainian army continues to thwart attempts by Russian troops to gain a foothold in this area, while increasing its own pressure. We are countering attempts by Russian forces to gain a foothold and increasing the pressure of our units on the occupier. We are making progress. The Russian army continues to suffer significant losses, trying to provide the Russian leadership with more advantageous political positions at the meeting in Alaska. Zelensky said. He noted the effectiveness of the 79th and 82nd Assault Brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in this hot section of the front, in particular in the Dobropolye area, where enemy forces managed to penetrate. Recently, Ukrainian armed forces eliminated the breakthrough of Russian troops near Pokrovsk. Military expert Alexander Kovalenko explained in detail what was really behind the so-called Dobropolye breakthrough and how the Ukrainian army stabilized the situation. According to him, the Russians concentrated about 110,000 troops in the Pokrovsk direction, achieving a numerical advantage. In recent weeks, they have transferred several brigades there. The goal was obvious: to find vulnerable spots in Ukraine's defense. On the night of August the 8th to the 9th, small enemy infantry groups attempted to penetrate deeper into Ukrainian positions using the difficult terrain in the area of the Hektova Balka and Gruskaya Balka nature reserves. They advanced to the village of Petrovka, but were already blocked there by August the 11th. The total number of the group was about 200 to 250 people. That is slightly more than 2 companies. According to the expert, the operation was more of a media nature, probably to demonstrate success in Putin's negotiations in Alaska. However, the conditions in which the group found itself excluded long-term holding of positions. Most of the Russian forces were destroyed. The gut was eliminated. Kovalenko separately noted the coordinated actions of the fighters of the 1st Army Corps of the NGU, Azov, together with other units of the OTU, Donetsk.
U.S. President Donald Trump said some great progress was made during high-stakes talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the war in Ukraine, but neither leader offered specific details on the trajectory of the war. According to Associated Press, Trump said many points were agreed to, with just a very few remaining, and he told reporters he will speak with European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky soon. Putin said the two leaders had reached an understanding, but neither offered further details on Ukraine's future. Trump's allies have cast the U.S. president as a heavyweight negotiator who can find a way to bring the slaughter to a close. Trump has threatened very severe consequences if Putin does not agree to stop the war after the summit.
Well,
thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound, and I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Ratcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here, and I think, you know, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time, and we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax, but what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good, productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.